If you could give us your name and your role in the opera.
Okay. My name is Karlee Sanders, and I was the lawyer in the opera.
So let's start with a really broad question. How do you feel that the pandemic and COVID has affected your ability to make music?
Wow, that is a broad question. I definitely feel like at the start of everything, like back in March, it really discouraged me, and I felt like, how can because I was so worried and just like so anxious about everything all the time, trying to get used to all of it. And so this summer, I had a really hard time, like even making myself practice or sing. And so I've had to learn how to adjust. Being back here at Ouachita has really made a difference, and it's encouraging because all of this are working together. And so, although it is still worrisome and like trying to figure out how to navigate like singing with a mask and having to sign up for a practice room, like rather than just like going when I can and having to worry about wiping everything down and all these things, it's definitely like added a bunch of steps and I guess like weight to the journey of like performing and singing and things like that. But I feel like a lot of us have made progress, and yeah.
What about the opera was your favorite thing? What was your favorite thing in the opera?
I think my favorite thing about the opera, and because it's just such a unique experience to, I just love seeing what my fellow students are doing and like how they take things that they're learning in their choirs or in their voice lessons and apply it to opera. And just like seeing, people come in and then like they're really, really struggling, and then just see how every rehearsal it just gets better and better and better and better. And then finally, like, this year, through the grace of God, we finally got it all together. But
that's where I put chocolate up here. It wasn't us.
But like just seeing how everyone has success through it and that journey is my favorite thing about opera, because it's so satisfying.
Was there anything that we weren't able to do that you really wish we could have done?
I don't guess so. I feel like the thing that I was most worried about was how it was going to come together on the stage.
Yes.
Because I knew everyone was capable of singing this music, although it was difficult music itself, but I was worried about how we were going to tackle the distancing and like making a set where you could see us all. And also I was worried about the whole recording aspect of it all. But it worked. I think it worked, and I'm really excited to see how it goes. So I think we did everything we were planning to.
How has your approach to collaboration been affected by all the COVID restrictions?
So last year, just for example, in the opera, Clara and I would work together a lot, and she was Nella. But last year we sang together in the operas, and we practiced together a lot. But now we couldn't do that because we can't both be in a practice room at the same time. And just like, I guess last year I felt more comfortable just like approaching people and like things like that. And I think this year I was a little more timid, especially with the diction things, because I was a diction coach for
yes, we always we learned about that very important stuff earlier. Oh my goodness.
I was a diction coach for this opera. And last year I felt like I was a lot like harder on the cast.
Mm-hmm.
And this year I found myself being a little more lenient just because I knew everyone's struggles with everything else. And so I felt like I couldn't be as forward. So there may be mistakes in the opera. That's, very much, because I don't speak Italian, but...
Well, I think Italian diction is
Right.
easier to
Yes,
hear.
and I knew it was
Like-
easier, and so in like collaboration with the cast, I felt like I didn't approach it as harshly, I guess, or like be as nitpicky as I could. So I guess that was definitely affected this year with the coronavirus and everything going on, just because I knew how much everything else was stressing everyone out.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Brown, is there anything you want to ask Ryan?
How do you feel like being a part of the opera here prepares you for a music ed career?
That's a great question.
Because we have lots of BME folks, but you're kind of like a seasoned BME person for opera, being involved in the opera.
Yeah. I definitely think it helps prepare me, just because like I never was exposed to, I guess, opera as like an art form or like theater really at all. My personal experience, I went to a very small high school and we just didn't do anything like this. So it definitely has just exposed me to this whole different world that I'm completely unfamiliar with and uncomfortable with. And it's really pushed me to kind of just step out of myself and just be a student and learning and making mistakes and doing all of these things and observing the way that Dr. Brown and Mr. Briggs and everyone else in the opera handles it has definitely taught me like strategies that I can use, ways that I can encourage this more emotional side of singing, and like I could bring that into my classroom. I definitely think it's a very valuable experience.
How did your perception of your role, when you came into this, you started the production, you got this role, how did your perception of how you thought this part would be differ from how it actually came to pass?
Let me think about that. When I got the role, I kind of thought it was more secondary, and just not as, like, I just didn't realize how I guess like big of a part that it was.
Yes.
And I guess I just didn't realize that, like, even watching it, I watched it several times, like, over the summer and studied my score and all these things. And I, like, whenever we finally came to, like, filming it and getting things together, I was like, oh my gosh, there's this whole scene, pretty much that revolves around the way, right, that my character interacts with the family and then Gianni Schicchi. And then my two witnesses that I brought with me. So I guess I just didn't realize that. Because I thought, okay, I don't have as much music as the rest of everybody else. I'm not as important. But it was nice to see how everything came together with the role.
Do you think you would have sung this differently, or your experience in the moment would have been different if we had been a live show in front of an audience?
For sure. I feel like, like I said, I'm not like an actress. I don't claim to be. I think that if I would have had an audience, I think maybe after like more than one show, I probably would have been more comfortable taking risk and like making decisions as far as like acting goes and that sort of thing. But we recorded it. So it's just a little bit different. And even then, I felt like as we kept doing all these takes, I was a little more comfortable
Sure.
doing all of that. But yeah, with a crowd, it would have been different.
Yeah. If you could look back to, say, early March before all this started, is there anything that you'd go back and tell yourself?
Yes. It's gonna be okay. Like, just go with the flow. I'm very much a type A, like,
Mhm.
let's
Sure.
figure out how we're gonna do it. Like, I need a beginning and I need to know how it's gonna end. And I
Right.
love the steps and just getting everything, like, organized, planned out, that sort of thing. Being in control.
Yes.
I love that. And
You'd be a great teacher.
and
Yes.
this whole semester has certainly, I guess, since March, last semester into this semester and the summer break, has pushed me to just breathe. And I would definitely just tell myself, like, it's gonna be stressful, but it's gonna be okay. And just trust your colleagues, trust your professors, trust yourself, and it'll all come together. And it did.
Well, is there anything you'd like to add, just to be part of this, the memory portion of this project?
I just want to say I'm thankful for this experience, and it definitely has pushed me, and I think has pushed the rest of the cast to be better, and that's really all we can ask for. And I'm really excited to see how it's going to turn out. I think it's going to be great.
Mhm.
Good, well, that's
Awesome.
everything I have.
Me too.